Here now is Christian Whiton, a former State Department senior advisor and a principal at D.C. International Advisory. Christian, good to see you. Well, as you know, the U.S. is vowing to veto any request before the Security Council, which invites the question, why is Mahmoud Abbas doing it anyway? Why not make the application before the General Assembly? There's no veto there, and it's a pro-Palestinian majority.
Right. Well, my understanding is there is still the possibility of going to the General Assembly. What the Palestinians can get there is likely an elevation from where they are now, which is a non-state entity, up to a non-member state, which would put them on par with the Vatican. But as you point out, they're not going to get full membership. That would require the Security Council's approval, which is subject to a U.S. veto.
The Obama administration first tried to stop the Palestinians from making this unilateral bid for statehood. That didn't work. And then the administration tried to shift the application to the General Assembly. That failed as well. So is this a double defeat for President Obama's approach?
It doesn't look good. Of course, a key bedrock component of the Obama foreign policy has been to breathe life into the United Nations. You recall that when we went to war in Libya, even though it wasn't called a war, the administration did not seek approval from Congress, but did consult and seek approval from the United Nations. But this episode would seem again to illustrate the limitations of the UN. Does anyone think that this elevation of Palestinian authority would result in a durable peace between Israel and Palestine? It's actually just more of a symbol that the UN can't solve any of the international crises that occur.
How do you think the Arab world would react to the U.S. veto?
It'll probably be bad, but some of it is overstated. A Saudi official, a member of the royal family, laughably wrote that it would imperil the special relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia. The fact is there is no special relationship between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. But, a lot of people around the world think that if you solve Israel-Palestine, you solve a lot of the problems in the Middle East, terrorism, Islamism, support for terrorism. I think that's actually backwards, that in fact you have these external forces that make Israel-Palestine unsolvable now. You have Iran and Islamists creating conditions that just preclude peace at this time. So we should focus more on solving those, frankly.
What do you think this means for security in the region? Will the Palestinians, if denied statehood, react with violence? Will Israel retaliate with punitive countermeasures? Does all of this escalate into, dare I say it, a third intifada?
It's hard to say. I think it probably just means the status quo from now. No one, including the people who are egging on the UN, expect anything from the UN. There is a question of where does U.S. policy go from now, and leading into a presidential election, it might be time now, also 2 decades after the end of the Cold War, with an unbroken record of near usefulness, to re-examine our support for the UN. Also, aid to Palestine, rather than give money to the Palestinian Authority, as Rick Perry wrote in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, we should probably look more at encouraging Palestinians who want to have prosperity rather than fuel grievances from the past.
We give them $500 million a year, for goodness sakes. Look, final question. Hamas, the militant group that controls Gaza, is reportedly angry at Mahmoud Abbas for making this move. I suppose that was predictable, given that logic and reasonableness is not, in the view of many people, their strong suit.
That's right. And once again, I think it emphasizes that you just don't have the components here to achieve peace. So the United States is constantly goaded to bring the parties together and to lean on Israel to have a peace agreement with the Palestinians. But you don't have a willing party on the other side. You don't really have a unitary party on the other side of the table. So, the U.S. should support Israel. We should sell them the arms they provide. And we should seek to help the Palestinians who actually want accountable government. But this isn't going to be solved anytime near, and certainly not at the UN, Greg.
Christian Whiton, good to see you. Thank you.